New conversation. Let's talk, think about it. Let's get it together. Together we can do it. Out of the box. Think out of the box. Out of the box. Out of the box. Out of the box. Think out of the box. Out of the box. Out of the box.
Welcome to Touch the World Radio Show, the Out of the Box Podcast Edition. I am your host, Jay Got Soul. You are tuned into episode 11 of the Out of the Box Podcast. I am so grateful to everyone that listens to this segment every first Sunday. For those of you that are tuning in for the first time, welcome. You guys are the reason why I work so hard to bring you great content. If you're currently listening, I'd like to ask you all to share this broadcast so we can reach as many people as possible. But before we get started, let's have a word of prayer. Dear God, thank you for allowing us to get here safely. Thank you for turning Nova's situation around. We received news that she no longer needs a heart transplant. God, we know that your hands are on her life the entire time. God, we ask that you continue to guide us in the way that we should go in this situation. We ask that you bless this show this evening. Allow us to touch the minds and hearts that we are intended to reach. As we get on with the show, we ask that you keep us all covered in your protection. Amen.
Somebody they flashes on.
Okay, so right now we're gonna start. Okay, so I launched this new Mind Your Future with the Past in Mind segment. So I decided to launch this segment to discuss some topics that I am passionate about. As you may know, I began writing articles about Black Wall Street back in 2017. The articles Can Black Wall Street Be Resurrected parts 1 and 2, as well as Little Africa Reboot, can be found on my website at jgotsoul.com. These articles were meant to help educate our community on Black Wall Street of Tulsa, Oklahoma. I use Black Wall Street as a template for how I conceptualize Black Wall Street today in the digital age. I want to remind us that if our ancestors could build a sustainable community within itself in a time that American law prohibited blacks and whites doing business together, then certainly in 2021 we could rebuild a community similar to that in the digital age. The way we do that is by choosing assets over liabilities. This is why I launched the Assets Over Liabilities campaign to begin with. This means that we are being intentional about how we spend and who we spend our hard-earned dollars with. It makes no sense to continue to financially support a community that actively oppresses us and contributes financially to the prison industrial complex as opposed to rebuilding our communities. So I want to challenge each and every one listening to this segment to choose assets over liabilities so that we can send a message to the economy saying that black money matters, act like it. All right, so we're going to get on with the show. So tonight's topic is new black money makers. Our guest this evening has a brand that I resonated so deeply with. Jasmine Gates is the founder of New Black History Makers. She is doing some amazing work in the city of Compton on a political level as well. I'm excited to discuss her journey with you all this evening. So Touch the World family, help me welcome Jasmine Gates to the show this evening.
Hey, thank you.
No problem. All right, so we're gonna get right into it.
Okay.
So where are you from and where did you grow up?
So I'm from Carson, California. That's where I basically grew up. I was there till I graduated high school. So yeah.
Oh, okay. And so who is Jasmine Gates? Tell the people who you are.
And then also it's New Black History Makers.
Black History Makers.
So
New Black History Makers.
Yeah.
Okay.
But I like New Black Money Makers. I like that. I might have to throw that on the shirt.
I didn't even.
No, you're good. But me, so I grew up in the church. I'm a preacher's kid. I come from a lineage of pastors, so I'm just someone who wants to serve. I've seen service on a grand scale through like the leadership of pastors, and it's just like in my blood to do that. So I'm just like one of those servant leaders, basically. I love black people, right? I love the children. I love seeing people like better, you know. So that's essentially like me. You know, I'm a new Black history maker at the end of the day. So
yeah, dope. Okay, so what schools did you attend?
From like elementary,
just all the way up.
Okay, so we'll go back to preschool. My grandmother owned a preschool at our church, actually. So that was Sunlight Preschool, and then I went to, ironically, an all-white elementary, Christian elementary, which is Brethren. I was like in Norwalk. Then I went to, and I was a private school. So then I went to public school. I went to Carnegie, which is in Carson. I went to Carson High for a year. And then I went to GAR, which is in Cerritos.
Okay.
From there, I went to East LA College. I think I spent like a semester at West LA, and then I got a scholarship to Concordia University.
No.
And I stopped there.
Was it like a sports scholarship?
Yeah. So I hooped all the way through college.
Oh.
Yeah.
So did I. That's dope.
Okay, dope.
Okay, cool. So let's talk about how we met. This is usually my favorite part. Okay. I always get the funny stories. Do you remember how you met me?
Well, yeah, because I had did the interview. Shout out to Over the Hump LA. I had did the interview, and then Tara, who is the wife of the couple that owns the house, I think she had told me like, hey, somebody wanted to connect with you, but I think you had to leave.
Yeah.
So she had like linked us a few months ago through the DMs.
Yeah.
And then we kind of just like stayed cool, and then I actually was like, oh, when I saw you, I'm like, hey, what's up? So then, you know, if that's correct, I think.
Yes, dope. Okay, so I remember the Over the Hump. Shout out to Over the Hump, because that group is super dope.
Right.
They have, we got to talk about that too. They have, the prayer every Wednesday at 8 a.m. And you run that with Charles. Yeah, and then they have the Bible study. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Over the Hump LA, like Charles likes to put it, it's like it's a Bible study with like a networking twist, basically. So it's just a group where you can come in like experience God. A lot of us we're not perfect, but we really just like have decided like, okay, we're gonna live a life that's a little more in alignment with what God wants for us. Of course, we still struggle with things, but it's a space where if you have never heard of God, you will feel welcome there. And then someone like me who's been in church my whole life, you'll also feel welcome there, which is a very unique space because I've been in church for over 25 years, and that's my entire life. So someone who has that experience compared to someone who is just now coming into the faith, we need to be served in different ways. But I've always told Charles, like, you know, I come here and I'm still served the same way someone may not have been served. The element of being judgmental is removed. There's a lot of the negative stigmas that we talk about, like from growing up in the church, is not present with Over the Hump LA. So then we have the prayer call every Wednesday at 8. That's been dope. You know, me and Charles had like politics about it, and we brought it into fruition because we were just like, if we're seeking answers, we need to seek answers the way that we know how. That was essentially how that was birthed.
Dope. Yeah. So my first experience at Over the Hump, like Jasmine said, I saw her, she had all her merch sitting out. And so she was talking about, you were talking about the land over
Versus Beach.
Yes. And so that also captured me because of, you know, just what my direction is. But the new Black history makers, really, I was just like, oh, we have to connect because the Black money matters and the history makers, that has to come together. You know, because in my article, Little Africa Reboot, I'm talking about the church coming together. I'm talking about businesses coming together. I'm talking about everything in our community coming together and serving the same purpose. You know what I'm saying? So that we can move forward, because there's so many gaps and separations. So it was just kind of like,
so that was your first?
That was my first Over the Hump.
Wow, dope. Okay.
And the crazy part is I'm very introverted. So I normally would not even go. And that's part of the reason why I was like, okay, let me get up out of here before, you know. But it was still a great experience. And then meeting everybody. And now me, Tara, Celestine, like, they're mentoring me and helping me get to a whole new level and transitioning. So, yeah, it was everything. And so, I mean, Mikey is the reason why I even, you know, showed up there. And she's been putting me in front of so many different people that I'm like, okay, you know, God is definitely showing direction through people. So, you know, it's been awesome. So, you guys, we have a dope show for you guys this evening. But right now, we're going to take our first break. So don't go anywhere. We will be right back with Jasmine. So y'all sit tight.
Yeah. Wait. way back, you know. Back with a level. They thought it was dead, we resurrected though. Yeah.
This little odyssey been so exhausted. Yeah. Everybody looking at a nigga like I lost it. Maximizing my gains to minimize all my losses.
It's about that time
to show y'all niggas who the boss is. Super underrated, but I'm really dope. Signed in still like an envelope. I've been climbing this mountain for a real long time. Nigga, I'm a Billy Goat. 31, I'm feeling fine. 2 years ago, I was 29. Met a lot of scrutiny, got me in the mirror like, nigga, when you press the line, life been passing me, fate got tasking me. I don't really know if I really got the capacity. Scratch that nigga, doing my thing. I'm a rapper, shit to make out a boss that team. Searching for the most high spirit, need the clean. Repping for a team, doing legendary thing. I'm walking with the faith that I conquer any dream. Still, listen, told y'all I was coming back then, but y'all didn't really listen. Nah, really listen. Nah, told y'all I was coming back then, but y'all didn't really listen. Nah, really listen. Told y'all back then I was coming, but y'all didn't listen. Nah, didn't listen. Nah, told y'all I was coming back then, but y'all didn't listen. No, didn't listen. No.
These days I don't feel like I got it.
Got it.
These days I got problems that feel bigger than bills inside of my wallet. Yeah. These days just feel like I'm sparring. Yeah, feel like a Spartan. Look at my obstacles, gotta go conquer. Like what are my options? Yeah, go work a job, go pay for the bag. What does it cost to stay in the bag? When I was made in the bag, gotta embody it. Oh, that bod, I just gotta embody it. Big bags and put all of the bodies in purpose. Blush every time that I walk in it. I got a lot of it. Mind thicker than Cardi, sicko mode. Every verse I'm just vomiting. The love that I live in is bottomless. I am the legend, I am the level. I am the foot that slides on the neck of the devil. Story is told, we never settle the score. I am the rebel, yeah.
I was coming back then, but y'all didn't really listen. No, really listen. No, told y'all I was coming back then, but y'all didn't really listen. No, really listen. Told y'all back then I was coming, but y'all didn't listen. No, didn't listen. No, told y'all I was coming back then, but y'all didn't listen. No, didn't listen. No.
You are tuned in to Touch the World Radio Show, episode 11 of the Out of the Box podcast edition. We are joined in studio with special guest Jasmine Gates. So Jasmine, let's discuss your passion for the black community. Mm-hmm. Where did that stem from?
Well, like I said earlier, I grew up in the church, so in a black church, of course. And what I realized is like my parents and my grandparents, they did a lot of work basically making sure like the spiritual aspect of these black people was intact, but it didn't translate into community. So I feel like just being who I am, it kind of like, I'm the type of person where I'm a fill-in where there is lack, and I feel like that's just how I've matured and grown into like who I am, and you know why there's new Black History Makers, because I felt like there was a lack in terms of like bringing the community together. You know, the church is the one place where you have, especially in the black church, where you have a bunch of black people gathering together weekly, if not bi-weekly, or if not 3 or 4 times a week. There's black people that are coming together. So if we really want like change and stuff, that it has to start, you know, there. Yeah. That's one of the, there's no other place that you're gonna find black people more consistently. So there's that. My dad, like, he just always instilled in me like that what I was beautiful. That what I was, regardless of what I was, I think he would have did it if I was anything else. But he would make sure I had black stories to read. We would sit down and watch black cartoons. We would watch black sitcoms. He got me like a life-size black Barbie. You know, I remember when I came home one day and I had did a project on like a white lady. It had to be like first or second grade, and he was like, no, all of your projects will be on black people. And all the way throughout college, my last project that I had to do like a biography or whatever on was on a black person. So he just kind of created that like thing in me, like it's okay to choose black. You know, it's okay to go and seek out black things. And I think because of that, I just naturally was like, oh, I love it here. Like, you know, I really love this. So that's essentially, you know, like where my heart kind of came from.
Got you. Okay, so when did you transition into entrepreneurship?
I'll say fully. So I've had New Black History Makers since 2018. Before New Black History Makers, I was doing something called The Initiative, which is like a community kind of gathering thing. We would have open mics and we would have like featured artists come and we would do events, and they were pretty cool time. But then I realized, like, marketing wise, Initiative wasn't gonna do what I wanted it to do, and then came New Black History Makers, and that does what I needed to do, because I don't need to explain what New Black History Makers is for people to want to buy into it or purchase something. So I'll say fully, like, right, not even before the pandemic, I'll say in June of 2020.
Okay.
So New Black History Makers was already a thing, but I was working. I used to work for LAUSD. I stopped working for LAUSD the January right before the pandemic hit.
That's crazy.
So nobody really essentially did anything while we were on lockdown. So I was chilling, and then I had did the Bruce's Beach event, and that like got us so much recognition with the brand. So then one of my good friends, T, she was like, we went to this event in Compton, and there was a guy who prints shirts next to us, and she was like, yo, can you go pick up her some shirts? She's gonna send you her logo. You need to get your shirts printed. Like, there's too many people asking about them. So before I had some, I wasn't really getting them off because I wasn't pressing the line. I didn't have time. But after that, I've probably been back to that guy's space, if not once a week, at least once every 2 weeks, getting orders since June of 2020. Okay. So I'll say June of 2020 was when I really was like, oh yeah, we're gonna take this serious. And we're gonna really, like, press the gas on this.
See, and that's the space I'm in right now. Like, I'm in transition, right? Like, kind of like how you say you were working full time. So I had this business since 2019. Okay. So I'm selling merch, but I'm not pressing it. I'm not going out to the community. I'm not connecting. I'm not telling a story behind it. And so I'm getting some orders, but it's kind of like sporadic. And so now, pandemic hit, all this stuff started happening. Right. And so I'm like, I need a break from that. Because it's just too much. Then my niece's situation, with Nova Sky, that situation kind of stopped me from working. So then I'm like, okay, I can't go back there because it's not healthy for me. So I need to figure out what I'm gonna do. And I'm like, that's why I hit you. It was like, hey, of any vending, because I'm like, I need to really get out there. And I think I did 2 community events, and the reception was crazy. And I'm like, okay.
I think I saw you at my boy Q's event.
Yes. And I'm gonna do another one actually on the 16th. Okay. So I'm really,
this is bi-weekly.
So I'm like really getting into that space, and now it's like, okay, now I see this is what I can be doing. I can really connect with people and really do what I want to do for my community. So that's crazy. Okay, cool. So can you tell us how you got involved in politics, though?
So shout out to Hub City Dre. He took me under his wing back in, I think, like 2017. And he grew up in Compton, so he's never left. He's always had his finger on the pulse. And I remember he used to give this like speech when he decided to start focusing on voting and voter awareness. He used to give this speech about like Compton having 100,000 people. There was 45,000 active voters, but only 45,000 registered voters and only 3,000 active voters. So 3,000 out of the 100,000 were actually showing up for local elections, which is a huge problem. You have 97,000 people who are not showing up. And that stuck with me. So he got me interested in actually voting locally. Because I did shows with him. I've engineered his, shows at the Hub Radio. A lot of people just basically started figuring out who I was, or not even figuring out who I was, but just, we built relationships. So the politics is not something that I wanted to get into, and because I had the relationship with Dre, so I didn't start in Compton. I worked with former DA Lacey, not worked with her, but did community work to bring community members to her during the pandemic. So that was about August, almost a year ago. We were doing that. And then after that, I worked with Mark Ridley Thomas. I worked on his campaign. And then after that, for the general election, I did a voter guide for the propositions for people that followed me or people that they knew. When they reposted it, boom, made it easy. I didn't tell anybody like who to vote for. It was just like, this is what the propositions are saying. It made it easier.
Okay.
And then after that, so this is now March, that's when I started interviewing people for the election that was happening in Compton. So that's kind of like politically how I've been making my footprint. Is I only am involved in politics because I know that I have a responsibility to my community. But it's not something that I love doing. It's not something that I want to do. But you know, if I'm able to, and if I have connections to these people, then I, you know, too much is given, much is required. Like, I'm required to carry that load.
Got you. Okay. All right. So you guys, we're going to take our second break. We'll be right back with Jasmine. So y'all stay tuned and listen to this song, No Distractions by Mikol.
Eyes on the miss, yeah. Take my time, can't right my wrongs with a kiss, yeah. Can't get froze, don't need no ice on my wrist, yeah. Watch for the snakes, talk they talk with a hiss. Black mamba, I can't miss, yeah. Eyes on the miss, yeah. Big man talk, life on switch, vibes on lit. I'm on rich, cause I exist, yeah. These distractions got my heart on rip, yeah. Wake up, I fall in my phone. God called my name, I said yo. She hit my line, she said slide. Can't put no lies on my soul. Yeah, I don't wanna fade away, but you cannot sit on my throne. This might be my only shot left, and if I gotta go, I gotta go. Yeah, on my soul. Had my armor on since I on the road. Who really down the roll? I'm on roll. Distractions ain't take a toll. Wait, nigga die. I came back, hit and slide. Dealing with a high one, get inspired. Work on the sound, get it right, gotta get it tight. You try to play me, you so like JD. Don't sell out, just pay me. Keeping it wavy, gotta buzz up like Jay-Z. Yeah. Eyes on the mesh, yeah. Take my time, can't right my wrongs with a kiss, yeah. Can't get froze, don't need no ice on my wrist, yeah. Watch for the snakes, talk they talk with a hiss. Black mamba, I can't miss, yeah. Eyes in the bitch, yeah. Big man talk, life on switch. Vibes on lit, I'm on rich, cause I exist, yeah. These distractions got my heart on rip, yeah. Young Lord with the big talk, had to slide on the slick top. Give the fam legs, make the house move. Crib walk, make them tick-tock. Can't keep the Phoenix in bird box. I got folks who serve rocks, survive. Good on my beast, slide in the kitchen with first socks. Velcro, ghost on my shell toes. I'm in my bag like white girls on Melrose. Switching to cell phones, breaking the pattern, thoughts getting scattered. Bit on a ladder, now I'm on Saturn. Off of the chatter, dreams getting fatter. Looking so better away. Melody out the mud, I got me a Roddy Rich. EST in 89, but I play the game like Jordan in the 96. There's a little gold inside of us, I got the horns for it. Yeah, nigga about to blow, listen, got the horns for it. I done walked 1,000 miles, yeah, I got the souls for it. Yeah, Angelo, I'm a demon slayer. Adios, I see you later. PTH, you might see the Vader. I got some friends, I need some haters. Jesus even needed Judas. It's the only way that we can beat the hate. Like, this might be my only shot left, and if I gotta go, I gotta. Top down, I'm riding with the cops round. Shot down while my brother's getting popped down. Sasuke, the village put a killer in my ways.
You are tuned in to Touch the World Radio Show. And just in case you're just joining us, we are joining studio with special guest Jasmine Gates. So Jasmine, can you tell us what is New Black History Makers? Make sure I got it right here.
So it's a community org that serves to affirm, ignite, and uplift Black people. Okay. And I say affirm or ignite because our like original shirts say I'm a New Black History Maker on them, and not everybody feels like that, right? So It's either you're gonna read it and you're gonna be like, yeah, that's me, or you're gonna read it and be like, I want to become that. So that's the like ignite part. But we're essentially here to like do the work for Black people. I always tell people, like, I'm not in the business. My purpose here on this earth is not to go and ask the other side for anything. I think we all play a role, and people that do that work, like, shout out to you, kudos to you, but I don't do that. My place, like, in this war, if you want, is on the home front. Like, is at home dealing with Black people, uplifting us. And my mindset behind that is we won't have to ask for anything if we get our mental and our souls and our, like, you know, like, just our whole, you know, beings right. We won't have to ask for anything because we'll be able to do for self. Yeah. So yeah, I'm not, you know, even with the Bruce's Beach thing, you know, that has turned into a whole thing of them asking for the land back. I don't do that. You know, so I went down there and I had the Breonna Taylor thing, which I didn't even think was going to turn out to be as big as it did, because I wanted Black people to be on the soil, be on the land that our ancestors once owned. Yeah. And I wanted the Black people that showed up to feel empowered by knowing that your ancestors once owned this land. But I had no intentions, because like I said, that's not my purpose. It's to go and ask. Now the people that are doing it, like I said, shout out to y'all. We're all a part of this working will. But new Black history makers, like it says, I am a new Black history maker. That's from the Black person to yourself, you know? So, and then when you read it, like, it's either you're reading it as an outsider or you're reading it as a Black person. So there's this whole, like, gang mentality about it, you know?
And I definitely resonated with it deeply. Like I said, like, I was like, oh yeah, that's me. You know what I'm saying? Let me get this shirt, let me get this hoodie, you know what I'm saying? I appreciate that. And then I just think it's super dope, because it's true. We do have to get our mind, body, and spirit and interconnected for us to really get to that place where we want to go, because if one is off, then that's a distraction from us moving forward. So that's big. Thank you. Okay, so what kind of nuances have you encountered in politics that don't get discussed enough?
I'll say a lot of times we expect for politicians to do what's right for the sake of doing what's right, because we're humans, and you think that people that are in power or people that have a responsibility, they will do that just like you or I. I can speak for myself. I don't know if you have political ties or anything, but when you start to get tied in politically, there's things that you cannot say. That's why I always come in as the founder of New Black History Makers. I don't come in as I'm attached to Senator this, I'm attached to council member this, I'm attached to mayor this. No, I'm the founder of New Black History Makers, and that's it. That gives me the freedom to say what I want to say. I remember having a conversation, I'm sure he'll be okay with me saying this, with Mark Ridley Thomas, and this was around the time that there was the big conversation around former DA Lacey and Gascon, and we were getting ready to vote for which district attorney we were about to have. And Mark Ridley Thomas told me he was not going to say anything, because he also, you know, is friends with former DA Lacey. Gotcha. And like I said, I was working on his campaign. We get an email like a few weeks later, late at night, and it says, boom, you know, Mark Ridley Thomas has endorsed Gascon. And I remember the next time I saw him, I'm like, yo, what's up? Like, I thought you weren't saying anything. And he was like, he was up for Mark Ridley Thomas was up for election, and he basically was like, I have to vote within the interest of my constituents. And a lot of times we as constituents don't see that. We think that these politicians are voting based on what they believe, and it's not that. It's voting based on what your constituents believe, so that you can get voted back into office. So that was something where it made me look at a lot of politicians differently, because it's like who they are at home, who they are in the presence of, like, you know, us just sitting down at dinner, is very different from who you see them, how you see them responding to, you know, propositions, to laws, to, you know, other candidates and stuff. So I had to kind of step back and, like, look at that, and then also ask myself, like, are you ready to get into something like that, where you have to literally not vote or not, you know, decide on things based on your interest, but based on the majority of the constituents that you have, so that you can win those votes and get back into office. So that whole, you know, thing would be like the one thing where I was like, yeah, you know, politics is a game. Like we say it's a lie, and that's not really a lie, but it is one of them things. It's like, well, you really didn't like stay 10 toes down to what you believed in. And that was in that moment. I'm like, we literally just had a conversation about you saying you wasn't going to endorse nobody, but then he had to get more votes for himself, so he went in and did what he felt he needs to do. He won his election. So you can say whether it was worth it or not. That's up for like your own interpretation.
Got you. So what would we need to know about politics so that we can move ourselves forward as a community? Like, what would you say that would be?
Vote locally.
Okay.
Vote locally. Go to your council meetings. Not like, I'm not unrealistically, that's not what I'm speaking of. Like, go every time. So your council meetings most likely are on Tuesdays. Now they're on Zoom. I think by September everyone should be back in their like city council chambers, and you'll be able to go in there. But yeah, vote locally. Like, there's a lot of things that we want and need, especially as business owners or black people that are in the community, and your council members are probably getting hit up by a whole bunch of old people. So like, even in Compton, the average age in Compton is 25. The average voting age is 55. Okay. So that says we are not being active. We're not, our age group, especially in Compton, we throw up the city, we claim we from this, we get it tatted, all of that. But then why is 55 the most average age, the average age of voters? And why is, if 25 is the average age, why are we not represented in that? Because we're not showing up. So I would say, I know people don't want to vote, for the president or the presidential election or federally. That's fine, but you need to vote locally. That directly affects you. The money that's coming in, if you own a house, property taxes, if your kids are going to school in the city, the school board, like all of that matters. So vote locally.
Okay. And how do people find out where they go to be a part of like the council meetings and stuff like that?
Well, so whatever city you're from, city of Carson, you type that in, your city's website will come up. You can go to City Hall, pull up there. Okay. You can literally call your council members. They're not like, it's not like calling the president. Like, they're gonna answer. They have to talk to you. Like, it's a very personal transaction with them. So if you're in Inglewood, city of Inglewood, type that in on Google and the website will come up. City of Carson, city of Compton, city of Norwalk, wherever you are, you can type that in and they'll have your information up.
Dope. So y'all do y'all due diligence, because we definitely need everybody in our communities to get involved, because we don't get what we need because we are not involved. And if we don't know, now we know. So let's get to that. But before we go to our next break, can you please tell the audience where like your work can be found, where they can find you, what platforms and things like that?
So on Instagram, New Black History Makers. That's pretty much where you'll find a lot of it. A lot of what we do. And then we have a website, newblackhistorymakers.com. So that's where you can find a lot. Then there's a Facebook page, which is also, everything is New Black History Makers. So that's essentially where we are.
Dope. Okay, so you guys, we're going to take our final break. We'll be back with Jasmine, so y'all stay tuned.
I just came from the block. Knew I had to change up the plot. Since my brother spent time in the cell, I knew I had to spend mine on the clock. Way back and I had to leave my mama crib. Social work and dealing with the politics. Like God, I just really need a loan. I ain't saying that you gotta leave me alone. Everybody moving in the wrong way. Making that loss in this way. Everybody coming this way. Yeah, don't leave me alone, don't leave me home. I got doubt, not an easy road. Gotta keep my zone, with my space. I don't need a house, I just need a throne. I've been out trying to save the world, dealing with my own life, dealing with my own, gotta find my way. I don't even know, I just need to pray. All this pressure on me, feeling like I'm breaking up. Got a gift that I take it all the way, I know. I just gotta glow, man, you know what the deal is. I just can't fall in a hole of these feelings. Gotta stay soul with the hope and be fearless. Trying to help the whole wide world find a healing. Yeah, just trying to get a million. Just a fussy kid trying to get a million. But I got lost going down the wrong way. Then I heard a voice call my name out in broad day. Yo,
everybody bumping in the wrong way. You can get lost in the wrong way. Everybody coming in the long lane. You can never lost in the wrong way. Everybody bumping in the wrong way. You can get lost in the wrong way. Everybody coming in the long lane.
I just came from the block. Knew I had to change up the plot. Since my brother spent time in the sales, I knew I had to spend mine on the clock. Way back and I had to leave my mama crib. Social work and dealing with the politics. Like God, I just really need a loan. I ain't saying that you gotta leave me alone. Drama in my brain been affecting me. This trauma in my brain been arresting me. I catfish my only date with destiny, and I still got the sauce with no sesame. Yeah, this is where the pressure meets roll. This is where the pressure meets gold. This is where I say what I want and the story gets told. Art gets bold, chains slide off the soul. Young boy lost in the system. They was trying to make me a victim. They just try to say who I was. Gotta took a path that didn't listen. How many tears I gotta cry for a breakthrough? How many more take twos? I gotta stay faithful, I gotta be grateful. How many come from broken homes, still got families of our own? Ooh, yeah, the system and its politics. I became a dad when my story said fatherless. The odds of it, it's imperative. Gotta change the narrative. Ain't about what you got on, more about how you wearing it. Gotta stare at it. Look your vision in the face, you gotta stare at it, yeah. Any fear that's in your way, you gotta bury it, yeah. Go and find your faith and then marry it, yeah. Run into your freedom like you're Harriet, yeah. All that love that's in your chest, you gotta carry it, yeah. The moral of the story is, you gotta keep going, kid. You gotta keep going, bro. You gotta keep rolling, sis. You gotta keep going, yeah.
You are tuned in to Touch the World Radio Show, episode 11 of the Out of the Box podcast edition. We are joined in studio with our guest, Jasmine Gates. So Jasmine, what would you say is your ultimate goal behind your work?
I want the individual black person to be empowered.
Nice.
Like, not, reparations. It's not for us to get equal anything. It's for us to feel empowered. And I feel like once you feel empowered, once you are on brand with whatever your brand is, once you know what your purpose is and you feel worthy of what that is, you don't need to, like I said earlier, I don't need to go and ask for equal pay. Like, I'm gonna do what I want to do. So I literally want the individual black person. Like, when you wear my shirts, like these original ones, like the way that people have explained how they feel when they read it or when they see it, that's what I want. Like, I want you to be like, oh yeah, like making history in blackness is dope.
Yeah.
And we're making it on the right side. And I want black people to literally be like, yeah, like that's it. Because, once you change the mind, once you change like the inside of who you are, it's, you're unstoppable, essentially. Life is going to throw blows at you, but you'll be able to, like, stand on your box, stand 10 toes, down or whatever. So that would be my goal.
I like how you said earlier, you said it was kind of like a gang-like mentality. And I have that idea with the black community, like even with gang members, I'm like, why can't we gangbang for each other? Why we gotta gangbang against each other?
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So even bringing that aspect into it, it's kind of like, yeah, I am, that's pretty dope. So like, what is empowerment to you? What does that mean to you?
Well, it's one, dismantling what society has taught us about being black. That's first. So black is beautiful, black is, you're worthy, and not because you did anything, not because you got a degree, not because you know, you went and you were the best, the only black person to do this, like that doesn't deem you as worthy. You are worthy because you're breathing, you know. So that's essentially the empowerment for us. Unfortunately, like with other races now, I think I might be a little iffy or might ruffle some feathers saying this. They started at ground zero and have to like affirm themselves, right? They have to like let themselves know, like, you know, that they're whatever it is in a positive sense. Now with us, we've been able to tell ourselves that being in the negative. So under zero, we've been able to still come up with black girl magic, black boy joy, black is beautiful, you know, like black is all, black excellence, all of that being under, you know, all the joy that our ancestors had even when they were enslaved, you know, like all of the joy even when they were getting spit on, like all of that, you know, and that's being under like zero. So once you get us to ground zero and we're not dealing with that like trauma anymore, we're naturally just gonna like grow. So that's kind of the thing where it's just like once you just remove kind of those negative stigmas for black people, we know what to do. You know, we know where to go. A lot of times we're like bonded mentally because of the traumas. And a lot of other people, like, okay, this is probably going on right now, but when I was working in education, I would have my kids do studies because I worked down the street from here actually at Inglewood Middle School, and I would have those kids do studies on the school to prison pipeline. And what I would tell them is that you're in that pipeline. Like they put you on a list. You guys are not doing well. And we would read it, but I wanted them to understand what the world was saying about them. But we also read articles about how people have done studies on how inner city kids would come to college and would be able to deal with quote unquote failure better than these suburban kids. And they will be able to bounce back. So let's say if the kid from the inner city gets a D or something and the suburban kid, you know, gets a D2, right? The inner city kid can come back and bounce back and it doesn't affect them as much, right? The suburban kid is like, oh my god, life is over, like I need to go do drugs, you know, whatever. But our kids literally have bounced back, and that's what I'm talking about, where it's like we literally have it in us already, you know. And that's such a beautiful thing where it's like you've already been through this life that's been hard, right? You didn't have this, you didn't have that, you didn't have that, but they're doing studies on you that are showing that you're able to withstand that. So imagine if you had a good life. Imagine if you had both parents and they were there and they worked and you didn't have to worry about food, you didn't have to worry about your clothes being clean. Imagine. And we thrive when the trauma isn't present. So that's kind of like, that would be like my answer to that.
That's crazy because I'm that kid. Like I flunked out of middle school, you know, and I was going to an all-white school, and they kind of just passed me along. So I ended up going to a Catholic school in high school, and you know, I graduated from there, went to college, played basketball, have a bachelor's, have a master's. Now I'm owning my own business and things like that. But like you said, I was paying attention to what the school was telling me. So that's the reason why I did bad, because the messaging that I got from them was that they didn't want me there. So I'm not gonna sit here and be all goody two shoes and you don't want me in your school. Like I'm gonna show you why you don't want me in your school, honestly, type thing. So yeah, that's crazy because I'm definitely one of those kids. But so do you have any new projects that you're working on, like anything in the works, like new merch or anything coming?
So yeah, new merch. And the beautiful thing about where I am at right now in life is any new project is tapped in with new Black history makers. I found my lane. You know, like I've found my like the reason why I was put here. So, you know, any new project that's coming, like of course now because it's been moving, there's a fall line coming out, right? So there's new images that will be seen, there's new, you know, actual items that will be seen. Now my heart is the youth, and that's something that like I need to reach out to them, because a lot of people have been putting like youth in my path and been like, they need, you know, mentoring, they need this, they need that. So because there's a need there, I will, you know, show them the way. That's one thing that I do not have a problem with. Like I will show anybody the way and how to get whatever it is that I'm getting. So doing that with the kids, that's definitely like something, you know, I'm really passionate about. So I'll say those two. I do actually have one other thing that is happening, and I'll share it like as a teaser. It's something for a Black woman.
Okay.
If anyone is familiar like with the Giants Den, you can follow them on Instagram or go look at them. It's like a collective or a group, a membership based group for Black men here in LA, and it's super dope. So we're working on some things for Black women, and I'm honored to be a part of that because the men's side is like super dope. So those would be like, new Black History Makers, and then that side, that piece, that would be the only thing that's not actually like attached. It's Black people, but it's not directly from New Black History Makers.
Got you. Okay, so what's the most important lesson you've learned from your entrepreneurial journey?
You gotta keep your foot on the gas. You have to like, you have to literally believe in yourself, and you have to like make sure that your foot is on the gas. I look back, you know, because Instagram has that thing like, you know, a year ago, 2 years ago, and I look back at what I was doing a year ago, and I was literally taking shirts to people or having them pick them up from my house, right? And then we got the website popping, so now I can ship or whatever. But now I'm at events every weekend. If not, most times it's 2 times a weekend. If not, it's 3. You know, so those kind of things, like my foot is on the gas, you know. And then also you have to rest. You know, like you have to rest, and you resting is not you taking your foot off the gas. Like, you set up systems so that your business can still thrive as you rest. But that's one thing that I'll say, like, we talk about this hustle and grind, and I get it, like, get to the bag, right? But then also, like, your body will shut you down, and if you don't have them systems in place, you're gonna lose money. You'll lose out. So it's like, stay on the gas, continue to grow. I think I had reposted like something, and it was like, lay a brick every day. You know, and I've been about that since I was doing initiative. It was like, I do something every day, whether and not like, oh, I wake up and I'm like, what am I gonna do today for New Black History Makers, you know? But there's something that I'm doing, and maybe I might skip a few days, right? But like, my business is growing. So we laying bricks every day. Like, I just came off of it. I'm actually like on a vacation right now. I took 2 weekends off because I work every weekend, so I just was like, let me take 2 weekends off. I took off for like 6 days and just kind of like relaxed and rested. But like I said, have those systems in place so that your business doesn't, you know, plummet during those times. Like, people still were ordering off the website, people were still commenting, tagging us because they were wearing the shirts, you know. So yeah, I would say, like, keep your foot on the gas, but then also rest. Like, you're worthy of rest. You know, like, you don't have to work to deserve rest, right? Like, that's something that you get off the rip, you know. Like, so yeah, those would be my 2.
That's important. That is an important point, because we, like, so I come from a family of nothing but workers. My grandfather used to work from sun up to sundown, cutting grass, owned the family business type thing. And I seen him work so hard, but he worked himself to death, you know. And we have that tendency to do that because I just feel like it's just coming from them slavery times. We didn't take breaks. So, you know, to feel value, it's by your work. So you always got to be doing something. It's like, but in between that, there was a Sabbath, you know. So you do need to take some time off. So that is super important. Do you have like a team that helps you get things done?
So it's coming together. So like I said, I used to work in the school district, and when I had those kids, they were like 7th and 8th grade, and my first group, they hit different. Those, I have such a heart for those kids. Like, when they basically did budget cuts and I had to leave, I literally like had separation anxiety with those kids, and I had to tell myself, like, yo, you cannot do, like, the kids are gonna leave, like, you only have them for a year. But I loved them so much, so I've stayed connected with some of them, and they're now freshmen in college and seniors in high school. So even like for Juneteenth, I did 2 events. There's been a few times where I've done 2 events, and use them.
Okay.
And then our social media that's ran by one of my former students as well.
Got you.
So I put them on. I pay them. We don't do free labor over here. We don't do all the free internships. No, like I always tell them. I remember the first time I had paid one of them, they were like their parent called me and was like, she didn't think you were gonna pay her or something. And I'm like, why? And she was like, oh my god, she's so happy that you sent her. Like, she was not expecting this. And I'm like, I want these kids to know what it feels like to be paid your worth. For off the gate. Not I found out when I was 50 because I found, no, like my first job was with the black owned business and they paid me my worth. So I want to create that for them. So yeah, they come work for me, they get paid, boom, like. And I have no problem, doing that. But I was telling somebody, you have to think about those things. Like, will your company have internships? Will they not? I don't want to do that. I want every kid that if you want to come in and just sit with me, that's one thing. But if you going to come in and put some work into my brand, you can pay.
Right.
Like,
Okay.
Easy call.
Dope. Okay. So what kind of hiccups have you run into over the course of your journey?
Just with like entrepreneurship. I mean, I don't know. I feel like you just learn something new every day. So I don't know if it's necessarily like a hiccup, but it's just kind of like you sometimes you might hit the wall. I wouldn't know how to like really pinpoint that. I will say in terms of me, because a lot of people, they'll use the word activist with me, or I like to say advocate, but I've ruffled a lot of feathers.
Okay.
And I've learned how to do it a little more intentionally now. More recently, I had got into it with the mayor of Compton.
Okay.
She had endorsed a Hispanic man to basically get the seat under her. And I was like, yo, what are you doing? You're a black woman and you're endorsing a Hispanic man, not someone that's of the younger generation. So we went back and forth, but then also I had to make sure like my reputation was straight, so that she like called me disrespectful, yada yada yada, whatever. But at the end of the day, nobody can substantiate that because I haven't shown that.
Right.
So but that came with a lot of growth, because sometimes you'll go off on people and I should say I would go off on people and I would turn up. And then it's like, okay, well, that was disrespectful, so I will say those are hiccups, like learning how to correctly ruffle feathers and ruffling feathers in a way where it's like people will still listen to you, even though you're shaking some things up.
Got you. Okay. And what advice do you have for aspiring entrepreneurs?
Take the leap. A lot of people are worried about like copyrighting LLCs and all of that, but a lot of us don't have the money to pay for that out the gate. So get your stuff out. Go get your shirts. Go get your logo. Go simple. Don't try to outdo Gucci. Like, get something simple on your shirts. Pay, the least amount of money to get your logo at least on the shirt. Sell those. Allow that to pay for your LLC, your copyrights, all of that. And be professional too. Like, but take your time, but go do what it is that you want to do. Stop waiting. Don't, go on YouTube. Don't think you got to pay everybody to get information. Go on YouTube. Ask people that are in your community. But I would say that, like, take the leap. Jump. Go do it. Like, if you want to hit me up, like, I'm always, showing people the ropes. So, take the leap.
Okay. And last thing, what can you tell us again? What platforms can listeners find you on, and what's your tag?
Okay, so for New Black History Makers, it is New Black History Makers on Instagram, and then on Facebook as well, and then it's newblackhistorymakers.com.
Dope.
And you can find I'm Gates Presents. I don't really share mine, but if you like what I'm doing, you can do that. And then I also am a journalist. It's not far removed, but because New Black History Makers is doing its own thing, I don't say it as much. So I write for Real Urban News. I've also wrote in for The Final Call with the Nation of Islam. So
nice.
You can find my work, Jasmine Gates, on there, and it's all black issues. So
super dope.
Yeah.
All right, you guys, so we're gonna wrap up the show this evening. Thank you all for tuning into our show with our in-studio guest, Jasmine Gates. Thank you for coming through.
Thank you for having me.
We hope you enjoyed the show. Before we head out, don't forget to check out my website at jgotso.com. We have so much valuable content for you to check out. We also have merchandise for you to purchase as well, which serves as a reminder to that Black Money Matters Act Like It. So be sure to get caught up on episodes 1 through 11 of our podcast and head over to my YouTube page at JGotSoul. All right, you guys, until next time, I'll be back in studio on July 25th. You never know who we're going to have in studio next, so be sure to tune in. Y'all have a great evening, and we are out. Happy Juneteenth.